talk about AI. So as we delve into the world of artificial intelligence, it's important to understand its origins. You might be surprised to learn that the concept of AI isn't as recent as you might think. The term artificial intelligence was actually coined in 1956, nearly 7 decades ago. This happened during the Dartmouth Conference, which is now considered the founding event of AI as a field. This marked a pivotal moment in computer science and cognitive research. The introduction of this term isn't just a matter of semantics, though. It kicked off a wave of research projects exploring the feasibility of creating machines that could mimic human intelligence. Scientists and researchers began to seriously investigate whether it was possible to create computers that could think and learn like humans. Interestingly, while the formal term was new, concepts similar to AI had already been appearing in science fiction. However, the official definition and research into AI in the 50s significantly influenced subsequent sci-fi works. Writers and filmmakers began imagining futuristic worlds where intelligent machines played significant roles, both as helpers and potential threats to humanity. This convergence of scientific research and creative imagination helped to fuel public interest and speculation about the potential of AI. It's fascinating to see how an idea that began in academic circles quickly captured the public imagination and has now actually become reality, and it's shaping our daily lives. As we move forward in this presentation, we'll explore how AI has evolved from these early concepts to the sophisticated systems we see today and discuss what the future might hold for this rapidly advancing field. It's worth noting that while our slide shows an image of an atom, which doesn't directly relate to AI, it serves as a reminder that AI, like atomic science, was a revolutionary concept that emerged in the mid-20th century and has since transformed our world in countless ways. So at this point, can we have the first poll, I think, talking about AI and atomic energy? It's probably a good time to do our first poll, Helena. So if you could have one of these superpowers, not necessarily provided to you by AI or atomic energy, what would you like to be? Reading minds, interesting. Reading minds is winning at this point. I'm not sure about reading minds. I'm not sure I want to know what my colleagues think of me, to be honest. I think I'd prefer not to know. I think mine would probably be to be able to fly. I think that would be super awesome. I was lucky enough to do an iFly experience where you effectively skydive in a wind tunnel, and that was pretty amazing. Only got to do it for a minute, and that was super cool. I wish I could do it more frequently. But we have the clear winner: read minds. Yeah. I think that's the clear winner: reading minds, followed by being able to fly, being invisible, superhuman strength. Excellent. Thanks, everybody. That is super interesting. I'd be interested to know what folks thought that they would be able to find out from people's minds. Okay, let's continue. So, on a similar note to superhuman powers, from the early days of AI research, scientists have been fascinated by the idea of pitting artificial intelligence against human intelligence. Games and tests have been a popular way to measure AI's advancements, providing clear rule-based environments where performance can be objectively measured. So a landmark moment in this journey came in 1997 when IBM's Deep Blue defeated the reigning world chess champion Garry Kasparov. This was a watershed moment that captured the world's attention and showed that in certain specialized tasks, AI could outperform even the brightest human minds. This victory sparked a new era in AI development, leading to a series of specialized AIs designed to tackle other complex games and challenges. In 2011, we saw IBM's Watson triumph on the game show Jeopardy, showcasing AI's ability to process natural language and vast amounts of information. In 2015, DeepMind's AI system mastered a variety of of Atari games demonstrating versatility in learning and strategy. Microsoft's AI achieved a perfect score in Pac-Man in 2017, and perhaps most impressively, Google's AlphaGo defeated the world champion of Go in 2016. Go was long considered one of the most challenging games for AI due to its complexity and the intuition it requires. These achievements are more than just game-playing feats, though. They represent significant advancement in areas like decision-making, pattern recognition, and strategic planning. Each victory has pushed the boundaries of what we thought possible with AI and has driven further innovation in the field. As we look at these milestones, it's important to remember that while AI has surpassed human abilities in these specific rule-based environments, human intelligence still reigns supreme in areas requiring general intelligence, creativity, and emotional understanding. The challenge now is to develop AI systems that can demonstrate more generalized intelligence across a broader range of tasks and scenarios. So let's talk about OpenAI, which has become one of the most recognized brands in the field of artificial intelligence. So while they're now famous for ChatGPT, their journey began with a fascinating goal: to train our AI algorithms to master the complex multiplayer game Dota 2. In 2019, OpenAI achieved this with their OpenAI 5 team of AI bots. These bots demonstrated extraordinary proficiency, winning an astounding 99.4% of 42,729 games they played. But perhaps even more impressively, in April of 2019, they defeated the reigning 2018 international champions Team OG in a live event. This wasn't just a victory in a video game, it was a demonstration of AI's ability to master complex real-time strategy and teamwork in an environment with imperfect information. The Dota 2 project was a critical phase in OpenAI's developmental journey. It pushed the boundaries of what AI could achieve in terms of strategic decision-making, coordination, and adapting to unpredictable scenarios. And these are all crucial skills that have applications far beyond gaming. What's important to note that the Dota 2 project and later developments like ChatGPT are separate initiatives with distinct technologies. They both showcase OpenAI's commitment to pushing the frontiers of AI capabilities, and the lessons learned from the gaming AI have undoubtedly contributed to OpenAI's overall expertise and approach to AI development. So obviously, OpenAI is today perhaps best known for its language models and other AI tools that are transforming various industries. The journey from game-playing AI to these more generalized AI capabilities illustrates the rapid pace of advancement in this field and the diverse applications of AI technology. As we look at this progression, it's exciting to consider what the next breakthroughs might be and how the skills demonstrated in specialized domains like gaming might translate into more general AI capabilities in the future. Let's take a moment to consider AI's current state and its practical applications. We've seen AI master complex games with massive prize pools, demonstrating problem-solving skills that can rival and even surpass human experts. This begs the question, if AI can excel in these challenging environments, why wouldn't we harness its potential in our own work? The evolution of AI has led us to large language models, or LLMs, like GPT. These models represent a significant leap forward, bringing natural language processing and generation to new heights across various applications. As you can see in the image, one such application is AI-assisted coding, which is revolutionizing software development. But large language models aren't just changing coding, they're transforming the entire tech world. They're enabling faster deployments, improving security measures, enhancing quality assurance processes, providing intelligent monitoring and alerting, and offering powerful predictive analytics. The key takeaway here is that AI, particularly in the form of LLMs, is no longer just a futuristic concept. It's a present-day tool that's actively reshaping how we work, innovate, and solve problems across multiple industries. The question now is not whether AI can be useful in your work, but how you can best leverage its capabilities to stay competitive and drive innovation in your field. So we've heard about AI in general. Now let's see how GitLab has integrated AI into our platform to enhance developer productivity and streamline the software development lifecycle. So GitLab is a platform powered by AI. We recently launched GitLab Duo, our suite of capabilities that provides AI-assisted workflows for everyone involved in developing and deploying software. Our approach is differentiated in three major ways. First, AI is integrated throughout the software development lifecycle. This is only possible with a platform like ours that is built on a unified data store. Our user experience improves cycle time as a whole, rather than focusing only on the initial stage of code creation. Integrated AI throughout the SDLC solves big pain points. Using AI with disjointed point solutions is a mess. If you expect inconsistent results from one prompt, just imagine the chaos of multiple Gen AI point solutions running in parallel. Lack of consistency creates more risk in security, compliance, and other areas of the SDLC. Also, using AI just at the point of code generation may create faster coding, but does not actually reflect the day in the life of a developer. Our DevSecOps study asked, how do developers spend their time? While a quarter of time is spent coding, fully 75% of time is spent on all other tasks associated with shepherding code through the development and deployment process, like testing, securing, and analyzing software. GitLab Duo is differentiated in two other ways. We know that privacy is critical to our customers, and we've built our AI capabilities to be privacy and transparency first. Unlike others in the market that train on your data, which can put your company at risk, we allow your code to remain your code. It is not used for training or fine-tuning of models. Finally, we have architected our platform to use best-in-class models. There's no one-sized approach to models. Some are better than others at specific tasks, and relying on only one model exposes companies to risk. GitLab Duo uses the right model for specific use cases. This is only possible because we don't have commercial ties to a specific large language model provider. Transparency is a core value at GitLab, and we take a transparency and privacy-first approach to building our AI features to help ensure that customers' valuable intellectual property is protected. Accordingly, we've launched our AI Transparency Center to help GitLab's customers, community, and team members better understand the ways in which GitLab upholds its ethics and transparency in our AI-powered features. And this is available to anybody. Search on our website and you'll be able to see it. As I discussed, another way in which we differentiate is the use of the right AI model for each use case. When adopting AI tools, response quality can be the difference between an AI tool getting in your way versus making you more productive. Duo spans the entire SDLC, meaning it needs models that can support text-to-code, code-to-text, traditional NLP, natural language processing, summarization, and specialized knowledge. No one model is right for every Duo feature. Our Duo abstraction layer makes it possible for us to power Duo with the multiple models required to ensure that the highest quality model for each feature. Currently, we leverage models from Google AI and Anthropic, but are constantly evaluating new OSS models and new AI vendors. GitLab is not commercially tied to an individual large language model provider, as I mentioned, allowing us to swap models to provide the highest quality output. So at GitLab, we believe in making informed decisions based on real-world data, especially when it comes to emerging technologies like AI. Our 2023 AI survey provides valuable insights that are actively shaping our AI strategy and development roadmap. Looking at the development side, we see a significant interest in AI adoption. 67% of respondents plan to use AI in software development, though only 23% are currently doing so. This indicates a huge growth potential and validates our focus on AI-powered features. Interestingly, 75% of developers' time is spent on tasks other than coding. This underscores the need for AI solutions that go beyond just code generation, addressing the entire software development lifecycle. On the security front, the data is equally enlightening. An overwhelming 95% of C-level and VP correspondents emphasized the importance of privacy and intellectual property protection while evaluating AI tools. This aligns perfectly with our commitment to security and guides our approach to AI integration. Moreover, 79% of respondents expressed concerns about AI tools accessing private information or intellectual property. This data point is crucial in shaping our AI features to ensure that they meet the highest standards of data protection and user trust. So by basing our decisions on this survey data, we're ensuring that our AI capabilities not only meet current market demands, but also address the real concerns and needs of our users. This data-driven approach allows us to develop AI features that are truly valuable, secure, and aligned with our users' expectations. So let's take a quick look at the AI-powered features GitLab has developed to enhance your DevSecOps workflows. We've categorized these features into 5 key areas: developing features, improving quality, taking charge of CI/CD, securing applications, and facilitating collaboration. Each category offers specific AI-driven tools to streamline your work, from code suggestions and test creation to natural language CI configuration and vulnerability explanations. These features are designed to boost productivity across the entire development lifecycle. At the bottom, you'll see GitLab Chat, our conversational AI interface that ties all these features together. In the upcoming lab, you'll have the opportunity to explore many of these capabilities hands-on. We're not stopping there, though. Here's what else we're working on. Our future AI goals focus on three key areas: workflow automation to handle mundane tasks across the development lifecycle, intelligent code security to automatically detect and remediate vulnerabilities, enhanced generative code suggestions for writing, reviewing, and fixing code. These upcoming features demonstrate our commitment to continuously improving your DevSecOps experience with AI. We're expanding our AI capabilities to help you develop your own AI ML applications faster. We're enhancing support for data science workflows, improving GPU runners, implementing security scanning for AI models, and creating a native GitLab model registry. These features will empower your teams to innovate and collaborate more effectively in the AI space. Okay, so thanks for listening to my introduction. We're going to take 10 minutes now to relax and maybe grab a drink before we jump into the lab with my colleague, Gabriella. Please also take the time to ensure you're able to access your lab environment. Ask in the Q&A section if you're having difficulty. So we've got a 10-minute break now. Please ask in the Q&A section if you're stuck. After the break, we'll jump straight into the labs and the hands-on exercises. So now's the time to catch up.
Just as a reference, we're sharing the timer right now, so you'll know that you'll be back in 9 minutes, roughly.
Again, if there's any issues with preparing your lab environment, please ask in the Q&A section. Once the time is up, we'll be jumping straight into the live lab. Hey folks, if you're just joining, we are taking a short break before we jump into the hands-on aspect of the workshop. If you haven't yet set up your environment, please ping the chat or the Q&A. You will need to have your environment set up to be able to follow along in the live labs where you'll be taking advantage of Duo capabilities. So if you don't yet have your lab set up, please do ping us and we can help. Hey folks, we'll be kicking off again in 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, we'll be starting the hands-on portion of the workshop. If you haven't yet created your demo environment, please ping us in the chat and we'll be able to help.
So time is up. I hope everyone has got a chance to have a nice break, refilled the beverages of choice, because we're ready to get onto the hands-on exercises. And hope you're ready to learn a bit more today about GitLab AI capabilities. So we're right in the middle. Hands-on exercises, not necessarily in the middle time-wise, because we still have a lot of time available to go through all of these nice exercises. It is going to be a nice pace, I hope. We are really looking for feedback from your side if we're going too fast, if we're going too slow through these exercises. And again, as a reminder, use the Q&A section in the Zoom chat for any questions related to either lab setup, if anything is not working, or you have any other AI curiosities. Go ahead and post them in the Q&A section. So without further ado, you should be able, after redeeming the code, to have access to the workshop. So you should have been provisioned with a workshop group. So you should be able to see this page. So ideally, once you have redeemed your code, you are able to reach this point. You should be able to have your test group. Ideally, I hope that everything went smoothly. If not, my colleagues in the QA will be able to help you get things done. So in order to move along, the instructions for today's workshop are found under the GitLab issues. So this is where you will be able to see exactly what are the steps that we're going to go through today's workshop. Again, under our project, we do have under the plan, issues, and access the issue number 1, which is containing our model development with GitLab AI, so our today's workshop session. An introduction, you already had a brief introduction, let's say not brief, but a very thorough introduction from my colleague Brian before on GitLab, on the position towards AI. So basically today we aim to provide an overview of all the GitLab features that our AI team is working on, which are of course extending more than code suggestions. So that may be the most interesting part, let's say. But our focus is to actually support everyone across the entire software delivery lifecycle. So not just developers and their coding tasks. Something that you need to note before, please be advised that some of the features are currently experimental. So they're in experimental phase and they may exercise some outages. As a development team, of course, is continuing to improve them. So just a heads up, just in case some of the features are not working. Maybe that is the reason. You also have here a nice link towards our internal docs, which is going to take you to the maturity level page. So under the maturity level page, you will actually see the level of maturity for each of the AI features that we're going to run through today's workshop. And without further ado, let's get started. So throughout the entire workshop, we are going to talk pretty often about Duo Chat. So Duo Chat is basically our AI-powered assistant. So it's your AI assistant right within GitLab, which will eventually help you get things done and much faster. The way that we can access Duo Chat is through this icon right here. So you should have the Duo Chat icon already available. It's with this Tanuki logo next to it. Just in case you don't know, Tanuki is actually the logo of GitLab. You can see it referenced in many places around our environment today, but also wherever you see this Tanuki logo with some small sparkles, this actually represents the AI features that GitLab has to offer. So let's go ahead and interact with Duo Chat. Now, we do have some predefined questions right here, which we're going to go ahead and ask one of these predefined questions. Let's see what we have available. How do I change my password? How do I fork a project? I would want to know, how do I clone a repository, for example, for now. So GitLab Duo is right now trying to find an answer for me. And you have it right on the bat, some useful information. So you get a chance to basically interact with the chat, which can give you some real-time guidance for engineering, for non-engineering, maybe for users for around the entire software development life cycles. So it can support the various array of tasks, and that is something that you'll see across our workshop today. Then, once we know how to interact with GitLab Duo Chat, again, this window is going to be available across your entire GitLab instance, across your entire training even for today. Now that we know how to open it, how to interact with it, there's a couple of very important commands which are very valuable for today. So one of them, to clear the context, in order to clear the context which was previously given to Duo, we can use the reset command. I'll go ahead and do that right away. What we have done is we have generated a totally new chat without previous context. And for example, if I would want to get rid of all of this previously generated context, I can use either clean or clear. So either of them work in the same way. So just as a reminder, reset to clear the context, clean or clear to erase entirely the context. Good. I hope that this was a smooth transition. I will move along to the second task, which is enable AI or ML features. Well, the good part is that this exercise has already been solved by the team, because all of the AI features have already been enabled in this environment. So where you're being hands-on with this tutorial, all of these AI features are already being enabled. Of course, AI features are listed as experimental or beta, and they must be turned out at the group level if it would have been the case. There's also some references on how you can do that. But last but not least, we can also, as an alternative option, why not ask Duo Chat on how we can enable those features? So we can ask Duo how to enable code suggestions or how to enable experimental and beta AI features. So what we can do is we can go in Duo and start asking this exact question. Again, this is your assistant. It can help you enable features. It can help you get insights of features. It can help you, of course, with a lot of documentation related questions without doing that context switching, going back and forth and finding out things. And in the answer, you can also see some of the sources. So just in case you want more information from the GitLab documentation around how you can enable, you do have code suggestions as a link right here. Another option would be, of course, how to enable experimental and beta features. We do have this option to copy to clipboard, so we don't necessarily need to start typing. We also have this option to have a quick snippet of either input, either prompt, either text that we can go and add it to Duo. So we can also find out how to enable these experimental features through Duo. Now, I'm going to give you 1 or 2 minutes to make sure that everyone is familiar with Duo Chat, has access to it, was able to action it. And feel free, of course, to ask us if there's any questions so far. Right. We can then move along, planning our work. So the first thing first, as we said, we're going to support all the users across the entire software delivery lifecycle. Within GitLab, we have a very opinionated way of how we are doing the Git flow, and everything should start with an issue. Now, in this case, we know from our product manager that our tasks is to secure the GitLab pipeline and to fix any pressing vulnerabilities that we find. So for that, we're going to use GitLab's plan capabilities to track our work. The first thing is we need to create our first issue. So we're going to use the left-hand navigation menu to go to plan and issues. So what I'm going to do now is actually I'm going to open a new window. So I'll have my instructions in one way and also go ahead and do the exercise in the other window. If you have multiple screens or you can split screens, you can do that in parallel. For the best rendering options, I'm going to keep only one screen for now. So the command was to navigate to the menu and go to Plan and Issues and create a new issue. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Plan, Issues, and let's go ahead and create a new issue. Since our task was to build a more secure pipeline, we are going to do exactly that. So we're going to create a new issue. We're going to call it Security for CI/CD. Capital I, of course. Now, the next step is in our exercise is to give our issue, after we've given our issue a quick name, we're going to use the generate issue description. So we do have a way for GitLab Duo to automatically populate the issue description. And the way that we can access it is by clicking again on this button with the tanuki and some small stars attached to it, and click on Generate Issue Description. Now, we do have a specific command that we need to give it. We want to make sure that we secure our CI/CD pipeline and fix the new found vulnerabilities. So again, this is going to be our description. And now GitLab Duo has already generated a description for us. It has also mentioned that this description was generated by using AI. Now, there may be a possibility that you don't have this button available. That may be well possible, but make sure that you are in the plain text editing mode, because in rich text editing mode, you won't have it available. So again, this is the rich text editing. You don't have the tanuki button available. So you need to switch to plain text editing. So you will have it eventually available. Now that we have created our issue, we have generated our issue description. We're going to go ahead and submit it and assign the issue to ourselves and set a due date for it. So I'm going to assign this issue to myself, and I'm going to select a due date for it towards the end of the month and create issue. Now I'll pause for just 1 second, just a quick check-in on how you think the pace has been so far. There will be a poll coming up on your screens. How do you feel about the pace of the workshop? Just write, help, where am I? Okay, majority is just right. That's good. Great job for following along. Always please feel free to use the chat button, to interact with us and to give us feedback if it's moving too fast, moving too slow. Perfect. Thank you for those answering. Then we can move forward. Now that we have an issue created, the next in line would be to execute the pipeline. So we have created the initiative. We want to secure our CI/CD pipeline. Now we need to actually execute that particular pipeline. So we need to execute the pipeline manually. Again, we're going to use the left-hand navigation menu, go to Build Pipeline Editor, and replace the current pipeline configuration with the code below. Now, we do have quite a lot of codes, so we are going to use the copy to clipboard snippet. And we're going to go to Build and Pipeline Editor. Now, just a small interaction before we move on. For those of you who aren't very familiar with GitLab, all the pipelines are based in an YAML file. So the YAML file has all that information. The YAML file is basically where you're getting to define the CI/CD jobs that basically make up your pipeline. This is where you're defining your jobs. This is where you're defining your stages. And of course, the recommended way of editing the CI/CD configurations is through this pipeline editor right here. So with the text that we have already, with the pipeline code that we have already copied, we're going to replace it in the pipeline editor. So again, we have been to build pipeline editor and used the pipeline configuration below. So once we have done that, we're going to go ahead and commit the changes. Now we're checking the pipeline status. We will soon be able to see how the pipeline is running. There we go. The way that you can see how the pipeline is running once that check has been done is by clicking on this button here, View Pipeline. So right now we're going to be able to see real time how this pipeline is running. You can preview all the jobs and all the stages. What is the status for them? So we're going to give it a little while until our build job is doing its thing. Oh, it failed. So this is good news in terms of we wanted it to fail for the purpose of this exercise today. So what we notice is, of course, the initial job, it failed. So we're going to use the new root cause analysis feature to fix this particular issue. So we have a tool that is going to help us troubleshoot the failed pipeline. And the way that we can do that is by going directly into the build. And of course, we can preview all the logs. So you can imagine the amount of work if we wouldn't have this tool to help us troubleshoot this pipeline, this failed pipeline, how much time we would need to actually go through the logs, see exactly why it failed, what is the reason, what is the code, is there any error for the code? So for this, we actually have the possibility to troubleshoot this failed pipeline. You can see here that we have a troubleshoot button right here at the top. We can click on it. And Duo will basically, of course, in this case, it's given me an error. It cannot generate a response for now. Let's see if we can do a reset and clear. Again, don't worry, this is just a demo environment. This is a training environment. We're all sharing it together. So there may be some things that may appear throughout the time. So let's go ahead and do it again. Let's click on troubleshoot. Okay, it worked. So if you're getting that error, okay, no, we're still getting that error. Let us dig a bit deeper. So my colleagues are going to take a look a bit at the error code to see why exactly this is happening. I'm not sure if this is happening for everyone or only for my case. Okay, so thank you, Remo, for confirming. I'm glad that it gave you a response. So ideally, the root cause, the troubleshoot is going to give you a root cause on why this pipeline has failed. In this case, it is a pretty easy exercise because we can actually see that APT was not found. So it wasn't necessarily a very complicated, let's say, reason why the pipeline has failed. But ideally, we would have root cause analysis available for it. Yeah. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, some of these features are still in experimental phase, so they may be worked upon and they may work intermittently. But I'm glad to see that for some of you, it's working. Perfect. Then I think we can move along. Just keep in mind that this is a nice feature. If for the majority of you has worked, then that is absolutely great to hear that you have seen it in action. So ideally, why did this pipeline have failed? Of course, we do have the APT, which hasn't been installed. So that basically it can mean two things. So it can mean the fact that, well, this command doesn't really exist. So that can be one case. But it can also mean that maybe it is not needed. Maybe we just need to remove it in order for the pipeline to run. So since we have this already working, let's see what were the next steps. To fix this, let us use the left-hand navigation menu. We're going to go again through Pipeline Editor and remove the code from the lines 33 to 34. So let's go ahead and do that. Build, Pipeline Editor. And we're going to remove the code on the lines 33 and 34. So this entire before script where apt list was installed. Let's convey that this wasn't actually needed. I have removed it, and I will go ahead and commit it. Once we have committed this change, the pipeline is running again. We do have the possibility to view the pipeline this time. So again, we have to give it a few minutes for it to run, because the next exercise, we will actually need it to be successful. We need to give it a few minutes to make sure that it is running. I'm curious for how many of you in the chat this hasn't worked, the troubleshoot function hasn't worked. If it's possible for you to give us a feedback. Yeah, Alexander, that is exactly. It's suggested to add it. The answer can be very, very much different. So it is expected for users to get different types of answers to the prompt, the troubleshoot prompt. So in your case was to add, update, and install. Of course, the first idea is, hey, this command is incomplete. Let's complete it. Or maybe we just don't need this command at all. We took the easy way in this case for this exercise because we didn't actually need it. So we're still waiting a bit on the build to run, to be completed actually. Now, until we wait for this pipeline to run, it may take a while. Let's go ahead and ask more of the GitLab Duo chat. So we can ask Duo chat to do things like write as a starting pipeline config. So Duo chat can also be an assistant, a very well assistant for you when you're writing pipeline configuration. So you won't start with just an empty YAML file. It can give you that kickstart. It can give you that jump start. Again, a very useful input. Let's see if GitLab Duo is kind enough to give us a configuration file for testing and building a Ruby Sinatra application in a GitLab CI/CD pipeline. And we also want to wrap the results in a code block. Okay, so it has definitely gave us some very nice inputs in this case. It has given us a sample YAML file configuration for testing and building Ruby Sinatra application. So again, you're not starting from scratch at YAML file. You can take this initial snippet and start working from there. So as we have, we can see that my build, at least my build, has successfully passed. I'm curious if it's done the same for you. I really hope that it has worked. For those of you who got the jobs passes, congratulations for going this far. So we did have our build pass for this time. We're still going to need a few minutes to get the test quality, code quality, and the test container scanning completed. But let's go ahead and continue with our ask more of Duo chat. Another thing that we can do is to ask Duo chat to write documentation for the code. So in the next part, what we're going to do is we're going to go to code, repository, and we're going to navigate towards the lib Tanuki Racing, and we're going to go to the app RB. So again, the navigation that I took was I went to code, repository, Tanuki Racing, and app RB. You can also find the path on this step. So point number 3, as more of GitLab Duo chat, lib Tanuki Racing app.rb. So what we can do is we can ask Duo chat to write a documentation for this. So everybody is very happy on writing code and working on code, collaborating, but there aren't that many who are very keen on writing documentation for this particular code. So I'm going to ask Duo to write a documentation for this particular file. I told them that I want this file, which is currently open. So I specifically asked to get the documentation in Markdown. So this is perfect. Right now I have the documentation available. I can go ahead and build a README file and associate it with this particular folder. So it is very useful in helping with all these tasks, which not a lot of people are very keen on doing. It is a must, but it can also help you write documentations. Perfect. Finally, last but not least, ask Duo chat anything. This is an exercise for you. I'll just give you a few minutes. Just think about what questions, interesting questions you may ask it. You can also comment on the issue. You can mention us as instructors. You can comment in the chat if you find any interesting questions to ask Duo. So, oh, and also feel free to communicate to Duo chat in languages other than English. I see that we have quite an international some of attendees here, so make sure to ask it something in your native language, and let's see how that goes. I'll just give you a few minutes, 2 minutes to do this exercise. Again, go back to Duo chat and ask it any interesting question that you may have. Perfect. Let's move along to the next phase. So what we did so far, we have created an issue. We have asked Duo to generate a description for us. We have built a pipeline. That pipeline has zeroed out so far. We have asked, some of you have asked Duo to help troubleshoot and get some ideas on how to fix the pipeline. Pipeline has finally successfully went through. And we have also asked a few more other questions of Duo chat. Now, now that our pipeline has run, now we're at the point where we can analyze those vulnerabilities. So Duo can also help you understand the security posture of your application. Now, let's see how our pipeline has run. To do so, we are going to navigate to build pipeline and take a look at the information that we have already there. So I'm going to navigate back to my actionable, let's say, tab, and I'm going to go to build pipelines. So right now we do have a couple of pipelines. The first one was the initial one, which was failed, and the other one, which was passed. We can take a look at the pipeline. So we can take a look at the two different stages and jobs that we have already defined that has already passed. But what is also very interesting and insightful to know is the fact that in the pipeline configuration, we have already actually enabled different types of scanners. So we have enabled the code quality, container scanning, dependency scanning, a couple of SAST scanners, secret detection. So there's a lot of GitLab scanners available out there. You can also use GitLab Duo Chat to ask about GitLab security scanners. But the main important thing is the fact that we have also embedded the findings of the scanners directly at the pipeline level. So you can preview the security posture directly from the security tab. So you can see once we have run this particular pipeline, which came with its scanners, we have found quite a few vulnerabilities related to SAST, quite a few container scannings vulnerabilities, dependency scanning, secret detection ones. What we can do is we can directly create issues. So these are very actionable, interactive ways of managing vulnerabilities. We have also identified licenses which have been detected. So these are licenses which came extra from license compliance, where there were some uncompliant licenses found. And code quality. So under code quality, these are actually 21 code quality issues. And this is basically a report which is showing us what exactly the scanners have picked up. There's a lot of actions that we can do directly from the pipeline. We can filter down based on severity. We can filter them by the tools. So there's quite a lot of actionable things to do so. This is again at the pipeline level. So the thing is that with GitLab, you can get also a larger overview of all the vulnerabilities across a particular project or across a particular group. And to access that particular vulnerability report, we will need to navigate to Secure Vulnerability Report. So this is again the full report from the group. So if your pipeline has successfully run, if you go to Secure Vulnerability Report, you should be able to see the number of vulnerabilities that we have identified, like token leaks, container issues. So GitLab is basically able to help identify and also quickly fix through the policies and through the basically power of one single platform. Once that we have all these vulnerabilities in place, these are all of them actionable. So if I go, for example, on this CVE that our container scanning tool has found, I can interact with it. I can see a description. I can see in which project it was identified, which tool has identified it, which scanner has picked it up, where exactly is the location, some useful links. So I can document myself. I can teach myself on what exactly does vulnerability mean, find out more information about the identifier, what would be a solution. And also I have the possibility to create an issue or to add this to an existing issue. Let's go back to our exercise for today. So we took a look at how we can preview the security findings directly in the pipeline. We actually had a look at the vulnerability report. We saw the full report. We saw how vulnerabilities are being actioned. And the next thing is to actually search for a particular vulnerability, for the authorization bypass through user control key vulnerability. And to do that, we need to go to the security vulnerability report. You may already have it open, but again, secure vulnerability report. And we're going to search for all statuses still detected, and the tool should be SAST SEMGRAPH. So let's go into our vulnerability report and do that particular search. So the status needs to be all statuses. The activity needs to be still detected. This is already selected. And the tool needs to be SAST SEMGRAPH. Be mindful that you need to scroll a bit down to find SAST. So when you just initially open it, you will only see kicks. But if you scroll down, you'll also see SEMGRAPH. Also keep in mind that to apply these filters and to see them reflected, you need to click outside of the Dropbox window for the filters to work. Perfect. So we have found our vulnerability by searching for all statuses, still detected, and SIMGRAPH. We're going to go ahead and select this particular vulnerability. Now, to get more insight about this vulnerability on how it can be exploited, how we can fix it, we can use DuoChat to do so. So let's open DuoChat and we can use the vulnerability explain command directly in the chat. So let's go ahead and do that. Which is going to basically give us an explanation of the vulnerability on what authorization bypass risk is, why our application is being vulnerable, and also how to fix this vulnerability. So fixing this vulnerability is really, it is very important per se. So we have used DuoChat to explain this particular vulnerability, again, directly in the context of having a newly introduced vulnerability. So again, it is very much helpful in giving us that insights on what is it, what we need to be aware of, and of course, how to fix it further. So if we're checking on how to fix it, we can see that if we use more of a let's see what our fix is telling us. Okay, so it is a good fix. Again, you may see different results. You may see different prompts. That is absolutely normal, and it is expected. So if you're seeing different prompts, that is expected. But generally, the idea is that to fix this vulnerability, we should use a parameterized query or prepare statements to safely interact with the database instead of directly concatenating the user input into the SQL query. So there are a couple of examples on how to fix the code. Now the idea is to, would be good if we would save this particular, copy this particular fix locally, because we're going to use it a bit later on today. So go ahead and save one of these, the fix code, because we're going to use it a bit later on. Now, the next step is to fully understand the problem with explain the code. So what we did before, we've asked DuoChat about this vulnerability. But the next step is to fully understand the problem directly in the code. So what we have in the vulnerability, in the particular vulnerability, which is right now, it should be opened on your screen. It should still be open on your screen. What we can do is we can go to the file location. So you need to locate on your screen where the hyperlink for the file is present. I'm going to go ahead and click on the file, which is going to very much conveniently directly take me to the line at hand, which has introduced this vulnerability. So what we can further down do is we can have Duo provide a description of this particular vulnerability by, for example, I have selected the entire vulnerable line. And as you can see, as I select the text, I have the question mark right here on the left. So again, if you select the entire text, you will automatically get this question mark. You can see that automatically I have an input. What does the selected code mean? I'll go ahead and click on that, which is going to open a DuoChat window, giving me all the information around it. So the selected code snippet is using active record. We are also getting a lot of information about the mapping, which is there, and the fact that the code is attempting to find the first record in the leaderboard where the player column matches the value. So however, this approach has some issues. We do have a couple of issues which have been identified. So it's using an older deprecated syntax, and it's also potentially vulnerable to SQL injection attacks due to directly interpolating user input into the SQL string. So we do have a couple of reasons why this issue has, why this may be problematic by using this ID. So again, we can also get a description of what this particular function does in more of a natural language. So you can also continue to highlight any part of the code that you would want in this window or in others as well. So you can, for example, play around with it and find out more information about this entire definition and so on. So again, if you want to get more contextual insights on snippets of code, you can simply select it and you will get this window right here. I will give you a couple of minutes to maybe play around a bit with what does the selected code mean, give you more context on snippets of code. So go ahead and do that throughout the code, see what results you get. Yes, you can have the same experience showed in the demo in other IDEs as well to answer Alessandro's question. I hope all of you have successfully went through all of these actions. So we have analyzed the vulnerabilities. What we have looked into how we can analyze it from the pipeline perspective, from the vulnerability report, how to filter throughout the vulnerability report findings, how to get insights on a particular vulnerability using vulnerability explain quick command, and also how to fully understand the problem with explain this code feature, which is going to take you exactly to the file location, and you can have all that information there. So now that we have played around with a particular vulnerability, we have tried to investigate what could be an action point from it. Sorry. So before we jump and use in code suggestions, to find our security vulnerabilities, we're also going to use the resolve with merge request feature, which uses GitLab Duo AI to generate a merge request with a suggested solution. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go back to our vulnerability report and filter for all statuses still detected, and this time we're going to search for SAST kicks. Let's see what tab I would want to go. Okay, let's use this one. So again, we're going to secure vulnerability report. We're going to search by all statuses still detected, but in this time, we're going to search for the SAST kicks scanner results. So this time we do have quite a lot of vulnerabilities found. We can go ahead and you can go ahead and select whichever vulnerability you would want. Now that you have opened one of the vulnerabilities, you should be able to see this part right here, resolve with a merge request. So you have the possibility, GitLab gives you the possibility to resolve a particular vulnerability directly with a merge request. Again, this is an experimental phase, but what it does, I'm going to click on it for now. What it's going to do is going to directly create a merge request for us. And with the data which has been gathered, of course, through a different prompt, which is running in the background, it is going to build a merge request from scratch, which is, of course, going to have from the header level the mention that this has been AI generated, this merge request has been AI generated, and it is going to give us some suggestions on how we can potentially fix this code. Not only give us some suggestions, it also gives us potential changes. So if you go under the changes tab, you can preview what was changed from the previous script. So for example, in this case, the update was in a YAML file where certain lines have been added in order to particularly fix this vulnerability. So these changes are basically giving us what fixes have been brought in by AI directly into the merge request. This was one of the questions which was asked, how actionable they can be. Well, this is exactly what GitLab can help you with its AI features. Once a vulnerability is found, directly on the vulnerability, you have the possibility to resolve it directly with AI. So if we're going to see that again in action, we're going to secure vulnerability report. Let's look for all statuses, for kicks. And if you select any of the vulnerabilities, you have this resolve with a merge request feature, which is going to do exactly that. Create a merge request, which is going to resolve the vulnerability. So the idea is the fact that once you have pushed this resolve with a merge request, the idea is that, of course, that particular merge request isn't going to be fully approved. It still needs it still needs a manual intervention. It can still require some approval, so you can still have some guardrails around it. It is not going to automatically fix it directly and merge it into production. So you still have the possibility to be hands-on and triage what AI is doing. So just as an idea, just as a thought on how this can be done. Perfect. So what we have done so far, implementing the fix, we went with resolve this merge request. We filtered it. We have resolved it. We have taken a look at what changes we have brought in. So now that we have more context around authorization, bypass vulnerability, let's try to fix it. If you remember, this is the vulnerability that we have spoke about before. So before you make any code changes, we will want to create a merge request to track our work. So as you remember, we already had an issue, which we have created right at the beginning of this workshop. Let's go ahead and reuse that and actually start from that issue. So I'm going to navigate to Plan, Issues, and I'm going to select the issue that I have just created. You could have given it a different name, but just keep in mind that this is the issue that we have created roughly 30 minutes ago. You should be able to still find it. So once we have our issue already created, we do have the possibility to create a merge request directly from this issue. So let's go ahead and do that. So on the issue itself, I have the possibility, and I'm going to press on create merge request. Now, on the merge request page, the first thing that we will need to do is to uncheck the mark as draft checklist. So again, a merge request has been created, uncheck mark as draft. We're going to leave all the other settings as it is, and we are going to go ahead and create the merge request. Once that the merge request has been created, you can see that we have already created a branch for it. We're going to be very much actionable and open it in a web IDE. So for today, we're going to leverage the GitLab's web IDE to make the code changes necessary. So again, on the merge request, click on code, open in web IDE. now that we have our IDE really pulled up, the next thing that we will need to do is navigate to, let's see which is exactly the folder, lib, Tanuki Racing, and db.rb. So we need to look for the db Ruby file in Tanuki Racing. Again, we're going to navigate to lib, Tanuki Racing, db.rb. We're going to take a look at the function on line 42. So line 42 is the line which was faulty. If you remember a few minutes ago, we were actually analyzing and asking Duo what exactly is to ask it to analyze this particular snippet of code. So we found out more information on how this could be vulnerable. So right now, let's go ahead and applying what we have learned from the explain this vulnerability. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace this particular code with the code that we have copied earlier. In the exercise book, we still have, we actually have an example fix, which has been provided. So I'll go ahead and copy this one and replace it directly in the ID. Perfect. So you can either copy the fix that you got from fixes and vulnerability earlier that you might have saved, or if you didn't save any, you do have an example fix provided here below. Perfect. So this is, let's say, the first step that we did in the IDE. Our job here is not done. The next thing that we would want to do is coding with Duo Chat. So this is basically the fun part where code suggestion comes in very, very soon. So what if we wanted to double check the code that the code that we added was secure? So we can also use Duo Chat in the IDE to do so. So how we can do that is by using the left-hand menu directly on the IDE. We can also action the Duo Chat AI icon. So you can really find it here, right here on the left. It is not on the top right. It is here on the left. So if we click on this Tanuki logo button, it will pop up the same Duo Chat as we did before. So now we're going to code with Duo Chat. Once we are here, we can actually provide the same, let's say, experience on asking Duo Chat to do certain things for us. So we are able to ask it to explain a particular snippet of code, to ask it for any insightful actions, or an easier way on how we can do that is we can also just highlight the code that we need and right-click and ask GitLab Duo Chat to either explain the selected code, either generate some tests. So let's go ahead and explain the selected code. Again, it is going to use the explain command right here on the left, and Duo Chat is going to try to find an explanation for the snippet that we have just pasted in. Once again, what I did, I wanted an explanation for this particular snippet. You can select the entire line or just a part of it, or the entire code or multiple lines, and right click and go to Duo Chat, explain the selected code. And on the left-hand side, you're going to have Duo Chat get you those results. Another option would be to generate unit tests right here as well. So what I'm going to also do is click on generate tests. By using the same snippet, we are going to get some insights on how to test this particular unit of code. So again, this is just a way of how Duo Chat can also help you while coding. We have got some insights on how we can potentially write tests for the selected code. We'll need to create a test file, of course, first, and set up the necessary test environment. And these are just some suggested tests that we can use. Create a leaderboard test table, add some test data, get the specific method. Yep. So it has pretty much done its job in getting us inputs on how we can even take this further and create test cases with it. Is everyone comfortable so far with how Duo Chat works in the IDE, how the actions are? Maybe you can give a thumbs up in the chat if everything is fine, if you need a bit more time, or if you have completed this so far. Can we get a thumbs up if everybody's okay to continue? Perfect, thank you. A few thumbs up there. Great, congratulations for getting this far. If you have come a long way. So we have been coding with Duo Chat. Next, we're going to add a new method. So what we're going to do is we're going to notice that our database Ruby file does not have a delete leader method. So what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly that. Let's go ahead and navigate to the portion, the file that we need to fix. So what we're going to do is we're going to, of course, go towards adding the delete leader. So going back to our IDE, we're going to our Explorer, and we're going to the database RB. So again, we're missing that part. We're missing that fake records. We're missing a way of getting rid of the fake records. So we can go ahead and use a prompt to get those specific functions. So what we're going to do is we are going to ask Duo to give us some suggestions on how we can, of course, write a delete leader function using an active recourse. So again, this is where code suggestions comes in. This is where it steps in. What we can do is either directly copy to clipboard, either go back into our project. But where are we going to put it? Below on a new line after get specific, generate this function. So right after the get specific, we are going to ask Duo to write a delete leader function using the active record. As you can see right here on the left, we did have for a brief moment there the Tanuki, which was basically prompting on exactly what we were going to do. So after you have the code being generated, in order to accept a particular code, you need to press tab. I'm going to do this again. So writing the command, clicking on space, or just to trigger the Tanuki. And once you have a definition, once you have the definition at hand, you just need to press the tab, and the code is actually being added right here. So this is how you can basically interact and use code suggestions to give you some insights on, of course, an initial snippet of code, or even solve some of your prompt challenges. So this was one of the parts where we needed to go in and add a leader. So what we're going to do, of course, we need to play around with it. We need to make sure that we have some right indentation into it as well. The next part, we're going to navigate to another file, to the app file, and we need to use a new method that we just wrote. So we just wrote a new method, and on the new line, we need to use the prompt below to generate a new delete route. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the app Ruby file. So in the app Ruby file, on a new line class, we are going to add this. So since it's not necessarily specifying where we should add it, I think this would be a good place where we can add it. Let's just put it here. So we are going to ask Duo to write a post route that calls the delete leader function from the Tanuki Racing database. Okay, so we do have the post already created. I'm going to go ahead and accept these changes. I'm going to make sure that they are in the right indentation. Yeah. I'm also going to give you a few minutes to go through these two commands. So again, they're in two different folders, into the db.rb and also into the app RB. Again, if you're not familiar with Ruby, this is a good experience. This is a good exercise for you. One thing that I would want to mention is the fact that right now, the way that code suggestion works, it basically uses the current file as a reference to how to write a function. So you still may need to do some slight editing for the final result. You still may need to do a bit of tweaking. What we have just launched is in 17.1 the ability to have multiple contexts, input from multiple contexts for code suggestions. So that is something which we have previously. We have actually just launched. Good. I hope that everybody's has got the chance to use the prompts and to use code suggestions for generating one new function and to generate a new delete route. And now, last but not least, what we need to do for our for this particular part with coding, with Duo Chat and implementing basically fixes, is to create a new class. So the project manager has also asked us to write a brand new calculator class that will eventually be used to add up a player track times. So the first thing that we need to do is in the same folder that we have been playing before, so in the Tanuki Racing folder, we're going to create a new file, calculator.rb. So let's go ahead and do that. So under the Tanuki Racing folder, we are going to add a new file. We are going to name it calculator.rb and press enter. So what do we need from this calculator? We would want to add a prompt below to let code suggestions know that what we are trying to write. So we need to define a calculator class for other functions to use. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to paste the prompt directly here. And Duo is going to help me define a calculator class for the other functions to use. I'm going to take this response. So I have pressed on tab to accept it. You most probably will get slightly different responses. Again, this is very much expected. And this is, let's say, the basically biggest part of, of AI, the fact that it can generate multiple types of responses. It can have different answers each time. So I'm really curious how different your responses are, but I'm really sure that it may be very much different from my side. So just to go through it again, we have created a new file, a calculator, basically calculator class for other functions to use. So you can it can potentially go towards multiple iterations, as it also says here. I've actually stopped it pretty prematurely. But the idea is the fact that code suggestion doesn't just work for Ruby files. It also supports multiple other languages per project. So we do have a fair bit amount of examples in the AI sandbox. So if you navigate directly in the ID that you have open into the AI sandbox folder that you'll find right here at the top, you actually do have quite a few languages where we have just given you some neat examples which can help you kick off different languages and test code suggestions for different languages. So I will give you a few minutes now to play around with any of these files that you may see fit. If there's any particular language that you'd want to see it in action, maybe you're not a fan of Ruby and you want to test this in JavaScript or anything else, Python, go ahead and take a few minutes and do this testing. I'll, again, give you 5 minutes to use the AI sandbox for yourselves. Oh, great stuff. Happy to see how you're testing it and how it goes. So you can either test the functions that we have predefined, either you can just create from scratch and generate a hello world app. So you can do a lot of different things with it. I hope that the majority of you have had a chance to be a bit more hands-on with the languages that you have already, that you are maybe familiar with. Yeah, kind reminder that you do have this environment up to 48 hours after this workshop. So just in case there have been some exercises that you may not have been completed, or you want to take more time to play around with these functionalities with the AI features in GitLab, you still have 48 hours to go with it. Yeah. So we did quite a lot of changes. We did a lot of playing around with some of the things. Now we want to commit the code to the merge request. So let's not forget where we left off. We did a couple of things to try to fix a vulnerability. We also added a new calculator. Now it's actually time to go ahead and commit the code to the merge request branch. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the IDE and we're going to go to source control. Let me just delete this because I don't think that it's useful. So what we're going to do is you can see that we have the button to commit to a new branch, which is dedicated for the merge request that we have created, and also for the issue, which is security for CI/CD. So the changes that we have done, other than me playing around with PHP and probably you guys also playing around with different other things. So what we have been doing is the fact that we have, first of all, changed the leaderboard function, not to allow leaks anymore. So we have created a new function, a new leaderboard delete function. What else? So in here, we have created actually a totally new endpoint. We have added a new endpoint. And last but not least, we have created a new class to be used to add up a player track times. So once that we have all this, all these changes, you can see that we can also have a comparison view with what was added or if something new was added. Let's go ahead and commit these changes. I'm clicking on commit. And let's go to the MR. So I'm going to click directly from the IDE to go to the MR. Now, first of all, congratulations for getting that far. This is the last exercise that we have on the hands-on part today. And it's actually coincidentally the part which majority of probably developers are neglecting in these days. So to review the code. So now that we're back on the MR, we should see that our code changes have kicked off another run of the pipeline. Well, that's exactly what's happening now. We're checking the pipeline status and the pipeline should soon run. We can also preview the changes that were happening here as well. So we have an overview of the changes, what we have added, what we have corrected. So we have made a number of changes. We have went through them previously in the IDE, but we do also have a way of using AI to help us get those summary notes in. So there are a couple of ways to do this, but how we're going to do it is by using the MR, clicking on the edit button, which is going to give us this summarize the code changes features. So we have done a lot of changes, but they are not at all reflected in the description. They're not being reflected automatically, of course. So what we can do is we can also leverage AI to summarize the code changes, which is basically going to generate a full description of all the changes in our merge request. So let's see what it did. It said that the code diff just introduces several changes to the PHP and Ruby code. Of course, I had to leave the PHP in. We did add a new function to delete a leader from the leaderboard accessible via the post request. Lastly, the leaderboard model is updated to use the active records. Perfect. So we do have a summarize. We do have a way of, after working so hard on all of those changes, AI can actually help us do that not very pleasant job of doing documenting what has been changed in a merge request. Let's go ahead and save the changes. So in conclusion, we have reached the end of the hands-on portion for this lab. But if you check out the issues, so if you follow this link, you have additional steps to enable code suggestions in VSC and to show off maybe some of our planned stage AI ML features. So there's this, maybe you can take a bit of time in those 48 hours left to also check out this particular issue. So for those of you who have went through all of these exercises, congratulations. If you still haven't completed everything or just want to test out different scenarios, just remember that you have access to this lab for 2 more days. So keep in mind. And with that being said, we do have a major pit stop. We do still have a short, let's say, wrap up after this exercise. But before that, let's go ahead and have a 10 minutes break, everyone. After the break, Ryan will come back with some more notes and just a wrap up on today's session, how to transfer the project, and a bit of those admin things. So 10 minutes break, coffee break, go enjoy, stretch, get a refreshment beverage, and see you back in 10 minutes. All right, everyone. So we're at time. I'm going to stop sharing the timer, and Ryan, you can take it away.
Thanks, Gabriella. So we're going to talk a little bit about GitLab AI best practices in a second, but before we do, we just have a quick poll for you folks. Which I can't at this point in time find. Oh, there it is. So just launched a poll to talk to see if we can get your feedback on your current DevOps journey. I'm impressed to see that that one person is right at the end of the spectrum, capturing and analyzing metrics. That's awesome. Let's give you another 15 seconds before I share the results. Awesome. That's a nice a nice attractive bell curve, I think. So hopefully you folks can see the results now. We've got a good mix of capabilities in the group. I'm impressed to see that 3 folks are actually using metrics to capture the status of their builds, etc., and the stats on how well they're doing. And at the other end spectrum, a few people are just starting, so that's super cool. Okay, great. Thanks for that interaction. Okay, so I just want to share with you now a few bits about a few slides about GitLab AI best practices. Excuse me. So I think one of the things that you saw from Gabriella's excellent demos is that GitLab goes beyond code suggestions. And we believe that to truly harness AI's potential, enterprises need a comprehensive strategy that integrates AI throughout the entire software development lifecycle. So this means applying AI not just to coding, but to planning, testing, security, and monitoring as well. We believe the key to success is having all of this functionality accessible from a single unified data store that we, of course, provide. This holistic approach ensures that AI enhances every stage of development, maximizing its impact and efficiency. By doing so, you're able to unlock the full power of AI in your development processes. We also believe that DevSecOps has never been more important. As AI rapidly transforms the development landscape, the importance of DevSecOps has never been greater. The integration of AI into development processes emphasizes the need for robust security and compliance measures. Clearly, AI can generate code, but is it generating the right code? Organizations relying on fragmented point solutions and limiting AI to just code creation risk falling behind. It's crucial to implement a comprehensive security framework capable of properly testing AI-generated code. This approach ensures that as we leverage AI's power, we're also maintaining the integrity and security of our systems. So to wrap up this section, let's emphasize why one comprehensive platform is key. GitLab is the go-to choice for enterprises building mission-critical software. Our customers choose us for 2 main reasons. First, we offer the most comprehensive DevSecOps platform, enabling faster software development. Second, GitLab is safe and trustworthy. Unlike Azure-only solutions, we're not tied to a single cloud, giving customers more flexibility. Our open core model also provides greater transparency into our source code and product roadmap. This combination of comprehensive features, security, and openness makes GitLab the ideal platform for modern software development with AI. So we talked before a little bit about our roadmap and model ops. So our model ops capability, which is due later this year, is data ops and ML ops combined. Model ops is everything you need to do to add AI to your applications. Just like we are adding it to GitLab, we know customers like you are adding it to your software. We want to support enterprises in adding AI ML to the applications that you are building and deploying using GitLab. We actually started building this functionality back in 2021 as a partnership with one of our enterprise customers and the broader GitLab community. And we've recently expanded this by natively supporting MLflow, enabling AI ML experimentation within GitLab. So hopefully you folks enjoyed and were able to follow along with the guided lab. Your environment will be available to you for the next 48 hours. When you are finished with it, there are instructions as to how you can transfer your project into your own namespace. However, before you do this, please make sure that you are happy that you have finished using all of the Duo functionality, because you will potentially lose access to some of it when you migrate the project into your own namespace. So as I mentioned, only transfer when you're done. When you transfer your project, if you don't have an ultimate license, you will lose some capabilities as well as most of the AI group settings. So please continue to use your project for the next 48 hours where it currently stands. However, if you are interested in transferring the project, and obviously you will then be able to access all of the lab materials, then you need to just follow the instructions in this transfer.md document within the courses transfer project folder. So we're near the end. There'll be an opportunity for some live QA shortly, but just to wrap up, we believe GitLab AI will decrease development time throughout the entire SDLC, not just when writing code. It will keep your code secure, and we never use it to train our models or fine-tune them, and it will assist you in developing your own AI tools with the Model Ops framework. GitLab Duo is available in 2 editions, GitLab Duo Pro, which is targeted towards development capabilities. So you have chat, code explanation, refactorization, test generation, code completion, and of course, user controls. Excuse me. We also have GitLab Duo Enterprise. GitLab Duo Enterprise is available only for GitLab Ultimate customers. GitLab Duo Enterprise includes all of the pro features, plus the information you see here. So information around summarization and templating tools, security and vulnerability tooling, the root cause analysis that you saw, AI analytics, and in the future, you're able to personalize GitLab Duo to your organization. So you have self-hosted model deployment and model personalization. Excuse me, and I know there are a few questions around that. So this is functionality that is currently being developed within GitLab. There is some information in our documentation website about it. It's very early days, but ultimately you will be able to bring your own models to do development with GitLab. Okay, so we do have a few minutes left for a live QA. So what we'll do at this point is, if anyone has any questions, I can vocalize them and do my best to answer them live. Otherwise, we will we'll be able to hopefully answer your question at the end of the presentation. So there's a couple of questions that Alessandro has open at this point in time. Gabriella is answering one of them, but Alessandro asked about P95 Duo response times. At this point, we don't publicize that information. As we discussed, we use large language models provided by third-party vendors. I think the best way forward with that question, Alessandro, to understand the P95 response times is to work with your account team, and we might be able to share further information, or we might be able to dig into the detail of your requirements further. It would obviously depend if you're using dedicated or self-managed or SaaS. There is without getting into too much technical detail at this point. There is something called the model gateway, which sits within GitLab itself. That is then connects out to the large language models. So it is possible to scale the GitLab model. I can see that dedicated is your target. Yeah, it's definitely worth having a conversation with your account team around that. And I think if you're targeting dedicated, we might be able to go into a little bit more detail with you. Thanks for that question. Any other questions that we can chat live? Otherwise, we can bring this to a close. Really appreciate your collaboration today. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for your patience when we had a couple of technical problems. It wouldn't be a demo without a technical problem, of course. Okay, so we have. Thanks, Pilar. I really appreciate that. In terms of more events of this type, I think I'm thinking, I think if you just follow us on LinkedIn or Marcus or the events team will be able to provide more information. There is definitely an events webpage on our site, so hopefully you'll be able to see what upcoming events we have there. But I really appreciate your positive feedback. So just before we go, we do have an opportunity for you to give us some feedback. As you can see here, if you could fill in a survey for us, you'll get a $25 gift card from Gartner. And we appreciate all feedback, good, bad, ugly, etc. We're very much a feedback-oriented organization. So if you did want to take the time to fill the survey in, that would be awesome. I'll leave this on screen, but otherwise, if no one has any further questions, we'll close down the workshop. Thanks, folks.